let's start our discussion. Let me share my screen with you guys. Can you guys see the PowerPoint now? Please confirm. Anyone?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's great. So let's start our discussion. This is the lecture of 10th week. In today's class, we will be discussing 3 or 4 different topics. And the first topic that we want to talk about is self-interest. Now, regarding this self-interest, different people have different opinion. Some people take it positively, but some people take it negatively. So before I explain the things, I would like to get your feedback on self-interest. That how do you guys feel about self-interest? Is it a good thing, positive thing, or it's a bad thing? So I would like some of you to comment on this. I'm back on my Teams. So anybody please respond to this. Please comment on self-interest. Okay, I think I'll have to pick somebody. Komal Akhtar. Komal, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Komal, what do you think about self-interest?
So I think self-interest is not bad thing, but if I take its meaning in the sense of advantage or being self-advantage and on ourselves, yes.
Okay, and we
If
ignore
we
others'
prioritize
interest.
ourselves, then I think it's not good.
It's not good. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. Irtiza. Okay, somebody raised his hand. Nasser. Ji Nasser. What would
Yes,
you like
sir.
to say?
Sir, if our self-interest are clashing with the interest of our nation, our company which we are working with, then our self-interest are bad.
Basically, being selfish is bad, but being self-interested is not bad. And what is the difference between selfishness and self-interest? Let's say you are selling some product or services. Like we are becoming civil engineers, so if we talk about civil engineering practice, let's say you become a professional civil engineer, and then if your product and services do not actually benefit the customer, and you already know this fact, but still selling them, you are being selfish. So you are selling something, either it's a product or a service, that you already know is not beneficial for the client. Then this kind of attitude is termed as selfishness. And selfishness is a negative thing. On the other hand, if the product or services that you are selling, you know that those products or services are beneficial for the client, and you are also making money out of it, then it means that you are following self-interest. So you are doing something which is beneficial for the other party as well, and you are getting benefited yourself as well. So this is a win-win situation. And this situation or this scenario, in this scenario, we will say that you are following the self-interest. And that's what, like you guys mentioned, that if your interest is clashing with your company's interest or with the interest of the society, then you need to watch it carefully, that whether you are being selfish or you are still following your self-interest. And following self-interest is totally fine. It's something which is not bad at all. Rather, it is good, and I recommend everybody to watch self-interest. Like some of the people, they are not careful about their self-interest. वो हम अपनी common language में कहते हैं कि हाँ बड़ा ही दरवेश सिर्फ इंसान है, and he's very selfless. So being selfless is good sometimes, but if being selfless means that you just totally do not care about your self-interest, then that is not the right thing to do. Because, and what's the reason? Because all of us have responsibilities, right? We have our families to support. So आप ऐसे बहुत से लोग हैं में से जिन्हें अपने parents को support करना है, or they have kids to support. So if you do not take care of your own self-interest, how will you be able to satisfy or fulfill your responsibilities? Because if you are not, let's say, you are not watching your financial interest, it means you are not financially well off. Then how will you, let's say, if your parents need treatment, how will you get them treated? Or if you need to spend money on your kids' clothing or education or housing, how would you be able to fulfill all those requirements if you do not watch your self-interest? So it is important for all of us to watch our self-interest so that we can fulfill our responsibilities. And there is another term associated with self-interest, and we need to understand that. Now, there is social interest. हम सबका एक self interest है, उसके बाद society का एक social interest है. And whenever we, all of us honestly fulfill our or pursue our self-interest, then the social interest is also met or is also satisfied. Now, what do we mean by social interest? Let's say at this time, you guys are studying civil engineering. So it is in your interest, it's in your personal interest or self-interest that you learn civil engineering, because later on you want to become professional engineers and make money out of it. And for that, you are paying money to the university. So in your self-interest, you are paying money to the university so that you get education and skill from own self-interest. So everybody and that results in the social growth. We will be able to satisfy or fulfill our responsibilities. अगर हम अपना ख्याल नहीं रखेंगे तो in between we scale different solutions that are available to us. We will see an example of it, and then you guys will become clear about this. So line drawing is useful when applicable moral principles are clear. What is wrong? We know that but the problem that solving is don't solve हर चीज black a negative extreme, something that is totally unacceptable. By paradigm, we mean the way we see the things. So totally negative paradigm and totally positive paradigm. Now let's try to understand this with the help of an example. So in this example, let's say we are evaluating some student's assignment or project. So what is the best scenario or the best assignment? That is expressed as case number 1 here. So positive extreme, do not look at the previous report at all. Best situation ये है कि स्टूडेंट ने एक ऐसी असाइनमेंट सबमिट करवाई है जिसमें उसने कोई हेल्प नहीं ली प्रीवियस मटेरियल से, उसने इंटायर उसका काम जो है वो उसका अपना काम है. That is the best situation. So इसको हम we designate that with 1. That is the positive extreme. On the other side, the negative extreme is that negative extremes that copy the previous report, put your own name on it and hand it in as your own. ये worst scenario है कि आपने एक previous assignment ली, उस पर just अपना नाम change किया और उसको submit करवा दिया. This is the worst possible scenario. Best possible, सारा काम आपका अपना का अपना है और original है. वर्स्ट सिनेरियो, आपने कुछ भी खुद नहीं किया, पुरानी रिपोर्ट ली है, उस पर बस नाम चेंज किया और जमा करा दिया उसको। तो ये दो एक्सट्रीम सिचुएशंस हैं। लेकिन जब हम when we evaluate the assignment submitted by the students, we see that all the submissions, they do not fall in any one of these categories. इन दोनों categories में fall नहीं करती, बल्कि इसके दरमियान में fall कर रहे होते हैं बहुत सारी हमारी जो submissions हैं। So case number 3 क्या हो सकता है? Use the same topic but redo all the research. एक student है, उसने previous topic से previous जो reports थी इनमें से बस topic pick किया है और काम उसने सारा खुद किया है। तो ये केस नंबर 3 है या सिनेरियो नंबर 3 है। एंड ऑन द लाइन इफ यू सी दैट द सिनेरियो इज क्लोज टू द पॉजिटिव एक्सट्रीम, ये पॉजिटिव है, इसमें थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव है कि उसने पुराने काम से टॉपिक पिक किया है लेकिन काम उसका अपना है। सो दिस इज लाइक it's not ideal but it's close to ideal, it's something acceptable. Fourth situation क्या है? Use the same topic and use the previous report as a cited reference. Not only the student has picked the topic from the previous report, but he has extracted some material from the previous report and used and cited that report. Whenever we pick up some material from some previous work, the right way is to cite that work. हम उसको cite करते हैं, cite से मुराद कि अपने references में उसको include करते हैं कि हमने ये काम इस reference से pick किया है, और अपने text में भी हम उसको mention करते हैं। तो अगर if we have picked the topic from the previous report और हमने उसको cite, फिर वहाँ से कुछ हमने काम भी लिया है, उसको हमने cite किया है, तो ये तो ये काम जो है वो आप कहेंगे कि ये हमारी जो लाइन है इसमें ये फोर्थ पे लाई करता है। सो इट्स नॉट द आइडियल थिंग बट इट्स नॉट द वर्स्ट थिंग आइदर। ओके guys, just give me a moment, just give me a second. Tasks and decisions, and we see that what are all the possibilities. So what are all the sequences in the solution or in the process? What are all the possibilities and what will be their consequences? All these things are clearly and visually marked on the flowchart. So flowchart is a very effective way of analyzing the problem in which we have multiple paths and there are multiple possibilities, sequences and consequences. Okay. So it illustrates the sequence of operation to be performed to get the solution of a problem. And it provides, the best thing about this is that it provides a visual picture. आप problem जो भी है अब आपके सामने उसकी एक पूरी तस्वीर आ जाती है, that how the problem will or how the process will follow. पूरा sequence आपके पास है, you can easily identify all the issues and consequences of all the activities. Okay. And next, it's a great way to observe all the possibilities. When developing flowchart, try to be as objective as possible. Now, it's also important to understand that what do we mean by being objective and being subjective. So, do you guys have any idea about this? Sometimes we use these terms that we should be objective and we should not be subjective. What do we mean by that? Anybody? Does anybody know that what do we mean by being objective and not being subjective? No? Nobody has any idea about this? Okay, let me then explain it to you guys. Subjective statements are basically based upon feelings, that you feel something is good, something is bad, something is safe or something is unsafe, something is in a critical condition. So like your final statement or conclusion is on the basis of feelings. That is termed as something subjective. Whereas objective statements are supported by facts and figures. Let me give you an example. Let's say we say that student A is a good student. Now this statement is just a qualitative statement, or this is just on the basis of feeling. Now one teacher might say that student A is a good student, some other teacher might say he is not that good, some other teacher might say that he is a terrible student, because now this is a subjective statement. It does not have any facts and figures with us. Now, on the contrary, if we say that student A is a good student, he or she has a GPA of, let's say 3.9, and his attendance in professional ethics class, if we talk about this class, is 100%. Now, this statement is an objective statement because the statement is supported by facts and figures. हमने बताया कि student का GPA इतना है, attendance उसकी पूरी है, या आप उसके assignments के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं कि उसने सारी assignment timely complete की हैं और ये उसकी evaluation है. तो ये statement which is supported by facts and figures, this statement is an objective statement. इसी तरह civil engineering के perspective में अगर हम example देखें, a lot of times we evaluate our structures. So if we say that the structure is safe or the structure is unsafe, if we merely give this statement, now this is a subjective statement. Now, if we support this statement with the help of some facts and figures, for example, if we talk about cracks at some critical locations, like हम safety की बात कर रहे हैं, we are saying that some structure is unsafe, and then we say that at these locations it has cracks, and we add figures. We add figures of that cracks, and we mention the width of the crack, we mention the length of the crack or depth of the crack, and then we tell that at these locations that structure has settlement, and we report the measurement of the settlement. And if, let's say, we are talking about a slab or a beam, we mention deflection in that slab or beam, that this millimeter or this many inches deflection is there, allowable deflection is this much, actual deflection is this much. And on the basis of these facts and figures, we report that the structure is unsafe. Now, this is an objective statement. Okay? So whenever we are analyzing any problem, we are always supposed to be as objective as possible. And only then we are able to convey an effective message or to analyze the situation in an effective manner. All right. Whenever we are making flowchart, we try to be as objective as possible. And then there are some symbols that we use to make flowcharts. Yeah, I'm sure that you guys are already familiar with these symbols because you have studied flowcharts before, and these are exactly the same symbols. We have a roughly oval shaped symbol at the start and end of the flowchart. All the tasks and processes are represented with a rectangle. Then we have diamond for any decision, and for the flow of control we use arrows. We use arrows to join all the activities and decisions together. And this is an example of a flowchart. This is a very simple problem. Depending upon the problem at hand, the flowchart might be really complicated as well. So let's say you are planning to give ads for any project. So you plan the ads and you write down text for the ads. That's your next task. The next question you ask is that, is there time to do graphics? Like क्या कोई graphic या कोई flyer बना सकते हैं उसके लिए? If you can, if the answer is yes, then you draw graphics and that completes the ad process. If you cannot draw the graphics, then you simply send out the graphics without send out the ad without graphics, and that again completes the process. So this flowchart represents a simple process of planning an advertisement. Okay, but in real life problems, in civil engineering projects or in other projects, the problems might be a lot more complicated, and such problems have bigger or complicated flowcharts. But all I wanted to do here was to give you an idea that how flowcharts are constructed. Okay, so this was flowcharting. Now, this was the second topic, problem solving techniques, that I wanted to discuss today. So anybody having any question about these topics that we have discussed? About problem solving techniques and about self-interest Do you guys have any question? Any question, guys? We have low attendance today. Today we have 23 attendees. Let me mark your attendance now, and then I will take attendance again at the end, just to see is there any disparity. All right, so let's move to our next topic, if you guys do not have any question, and that topic is conflict resolution. Now we have conflicts throughout our lives. Like, conflict is something very common, and the nature of the conflict might be minor or small in some of the cases. Sometimes the conflicts are large or huge. Like, कुछ conflicts होते हैं जो हमारी personal life में होते हैं, one to one conflicts हैं, लेकिन कुछ cases, कुछ conflicts जो हैं वो those are among the groups of people or among organizations, या अगर आप उससे बड़े level पे चले जाएं तो maybe cities के दरमियान, provinces और states के दरमियान, और international level पे भी conflicts होते हैं which result in finally wars or battles. So we face a lot of conflicts throughout our life at a personal level and at some organizational level or international level. So it's extremely important to learn the skills that are required to effectively resolve the conflict. क्योंकि conflicts जो हैं वो unavoidable है. हमारी daily life में conflicts आते हैं. इसकी छोटी सी example ही अगर हम देखें तो आप लोग you guys do a lot of tasks in the form of groups. प्रोजेक्ट्स करते हैं या डिफरेंट असाइनमेंट्स करते हैं, या एक और एग्जांपल जिस तरह आप सर्वे ही करते हैं फील्ड में जाके. तो आई रिमेंबर व्हेन वी यूज्ड टू डू सर्वे, तो आप एक ग्रुप की फॉर्म में सर्वे कर रहे हैं, आप कोई लेवलिंग की जॉब कर रहे हैं लेट्स से, और आप ग्रुप में से एक स्टूडेंट ने स्टाफ लेके जाना है दूसरे पॉइंट पे जो कि 20-30 मीटर अवे है, तो वहीं पे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आ जाता है. ये बिल्कुल एक छोटी सी एग्जांपल है कि नोबडी इज विलिंग टू कैरी द स्टाफ टू द अदर पॉइंट, बिकॉज अगर आप जून जुलाई में की गर्मी में सर्वे कर रहे हैं, सो इट सीम्स लाइक हेक ऑफ वर्क एंड नोबडी इज विलिंग टू डू दैट. तो इतने छोटे से कामों में भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आ जाते हैं. और जिस तरह आप फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट करेंगे, आप एक साल तक इकट्ठे ग्रुप में काम करेंगे, यू विल सी दैट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अराइज. कुछ लोग हैं जो समझते हैं कि वो ज़्यादा काम कर रहे हैं, और कुछ लोग बिल्कुल भी काम करने पे विलिंग नहीं होते. फिर कुछ लोगों को ये एतराज़ होता है कि जो लीडर है उसका एटीट्यूड ठीक नहीं है, लीडर ये कहता है कि बाकी लोग मेरी बात नहीं सुनते. सो a lot of times एक mess create हो जाता है. So we need to learn that what are the skills to avoid conflict and to resolve conflicts effectively. So let's see what those skills are. First skill, don't get defensive. A lot of times when we are in a conflict, we get defensive, but being defensive does not help in resolving the conflict. डिफेंसिव होने का मतलब ये है कि हम जस्टिफिकेशन स्टार्ट देना शुरू कर देते हैं. वी स्टार्ट जस्टिफाइंग आवरसेल्फ. लेकिन उसका नुकसान ये होता है कि व्हेन यू गेट डिफेंसिव द अदर पर्सन गेट्स ऑफेंसिव. जब आप बहुत डिफेंसिव और जस्टिफिकेशन देने के मोड में आ जाते हैं, तो दूसरा शख्स जो है उसको ये लिबर्टी मिल जाती है कि वो ऑफेंसिव हो जाता है. सो एंड दैट मेक्स द सिचुएशन कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, और दैट twist the situation in other person's favor. तो आपने जब भी आप किसी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में है, don't get defensive. डिफेंसिव नहीं होना चाहिए. On the other side, like defensive होने का opposite ये है कि you start doing blame game. आप सारा जो मुद्दा है वो दूसरे पे डाल दें और blames सारा दूसरे पे डाल दें और blame game शुरू कर दें. आप उसको blame कर रहे हैं और वो आपको blame कर रहा है. This is blame game. डिफेंसिव होना भी ठीक नहीं है और ब्लेम गेम में पढ़ना भी ठीक बात नहीं है. बोथ दीज सिनेरियोज आर नॉट, और बोथ दीज एटीट्यूड्स आर नॉट हेल्पफुल इन रिजॉल्विंग द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. रादर यू नीड टू डिस्कस द थिंग्स विद एन ओपन माइंड, ओपन हार्टेडली आप चीज़ों को डिस्कस करें, बहुत ज़्यादा जस्टिफिकेशंस भी ना दें और दूसरों पे ब्लेम भी ना करें. Listen actively. In order to resolve conflict, it is important that we listen actively. At times we listen to respond. We do not listen to understand. So listening to understand is basically active listening. कि आप तवज्जो से दूसरे की बात सुने, not with an objective to catch others' weaknesses. दूसरों के flaws और weaknesses को ढूंढने के लिए आप उसकी बात नहीं सुनेंगे, बल्कि you will listen to others in order to totally or fully understand them. ये जो एटीट्यूड है और ये जो लिसनिंग है, इसको हम एक्टिव लिसनिंग कहते हैं. लेकिन मोस्टली लोग बात सुनते हैं टू रिस्पॉन्ड, कि दूसरे की खामी पकड़ी जाए और उस पर उसको जवाब दिया जाए. This is not active listening. So for effective conflict resolution, you must be an active listener. Begin statement with I. The statements that we start with you, normally those statements are offensive. और जो statements I से start की जाती हैं वो निस्बतन polite होती हैं. Although ये उस केस में जब आप English में conversation कर रहे हैं, but the same thing holds when you are having a conversation in Urdu. Now let me give you an example. If you say to somebody that you are not listening to me, now this is a bit offensive statement because you are blaming the other person that he or she is not listening to you. On the other hand, the same message can be conveyed as that I think I'm not being understood. Now this means the same thing कि आपकी बात जो है वो सही तरह convey नहीं हो रही है, लेकिन this time you are not blaming the other person. You are conveying your message in a more neutral manner. That I think I am not being understood. तो इसका मतलब यही है दोबारा कि जो सामने वाला शख्स है उसको आपकी बात दोबारा सुनने की या तवज्जो से सुनने की ज़रूरत है. But when you start your statement with I और आप अपने बारे में बात करते हैं, then that statement is a more polite statement. और यही प्रिंसिपल जो है वो अगर आप उर्दू में कम्युनिकेशन कर रहे हैं उसमें भी आप फॉलो कर सकते हैं. Control your emotions. Whenever you are in conflict, जो भी प्रॉब्लम है, you should discuss that problem calmly. A lot of times when we are in a conflict, we get really emotional. Our tone becomes aggressive. हमारे facial expression, हमारी body language aggressive होती है. बहुत सारे लोगों के मत्थे पे बल आ जाते हैं और हमारी जो gestures हैं, हमारी arm movement है, that becomes really aggressive. So if you want to effectively manage a conflict, you should remain calm. आपकी जो body language है, आपकी जो emotions हैं, वो control में होने चाहिए. आपने aggressive नहीं होना, emotional नहीं होना. Show that you can compromise. Most of the conflicts are resolved with a give and take. जब तक आप give and take वाले मोड में नहीं आएंगे तो a lot of times conflict जो है वो resolve नहीं हो सकते. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि हमारी हर बात मान ली जाए और ये भी feasible नहीं है कि हम दूसरे की हर बात मान लें. कुछ से कुछ गिव एंड टेक करना पड़ता है. आप देखेंगे अगर जो कुछ केस स्टडीज देखें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रेजोल्यूशन की, चाहे वो पर्सनल लेवल पे हो चाहे वो इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे हो, कुछ ना कुछ गिव एंड टेक करके आपको प्रॉब्लम को रिजॉल्व करना पड़ता है. अगर आप ये कहते हैं कि मेरी सारी बातें मान ली जाएं तो इन maybe 99% of the cases this is not possible. So when you are discussing or you are arguing, you need to give that message that you are willing to compromise. आप कुछ बातें मानने को भी तैयार हैं, लेकिन आप ये चाहते हैं कि आपकी भी कुछ बातें मानी जाएं. Don't take it personally. A lot of times when people comment on our work, let's say you are presenting your work and you get some negative comment, so a lot of times people take it personally. They react as if the others are commenting on their character or on their personality, but that's not true. So we should not take criticism personally. Rather, we should try to focus on the topic that is criticize on somebody's character or personality. We should always give our healthy criticism on the problem at hand. जिस बात की हम बात करें, जिस प्रोजेक्ट की हम बात करें, हमें उस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में बात करनी चाहिए. और ना कि दूसरों के कैरेक्टर पे और पर्सनैलिटी पे। और जब हम पे क्रिटिसिज्म हो रहा है तो हमें उसको भी इसी तरह लेना चाहिए कि ये उस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में बात हो रही है। सो डोंट टेक थिंग्स पर्सनली। Pay close attention to non-verbal communication. When you are communicating with other, you should not just focus on words. At times words जो हैं वो कुछ और एक्सप्रेस कर रहे होते हैं, लेकिन दूसरों की बॉडी लैंग्वेज और नॉन वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन जो है वो कुछ और कम्युनिकेट कर रही होती है। एक ही बात को जब आप मुख्तलिफ अंदाज से करते हैं तो उसका मतलब जो है वो तब्दील हो जाता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर कोई शख्स कहता है कि आई एम ओके, now if he's saying that with a positive gesture, with a smile, that really means that he's okay. But if he's saying with really negative facial expressions or with down shoulders, then it means that actually he or she is not okay. Non-verbal communication, जिसमें body language, facial expressions, voice tone की चीज़ें आती हैं हमें, या arm movements आती हैं, we should be considering those gestures as well in our communication. और दूसरा जो बात कह रहा है, सिर्फ हमें वर्ड्स पे फोकस नहीं करना चाहिए, बल्कि नॉन वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन को देखते हुए मीनिंग एक्सट्रैक्ट करना चाहिए। Know when to apologize and forgive. All of us make mistakes. ठीक है? If you are in a discussion and in that you realize that you have committed some mistake, then you should be courageous enough to accept your mistake and give an apology. Just apologize. And on the other side, if somebody else has done some mistake and he is apologizing, we should be we should be open-hearted enough to forgive. A lot of times people are not willing to forgive. एक शख्स सामने वाला अगर माफी भी मांग रहा है तो हम बाज़ औक़ात इतने rigid हो जाते हैं कि we are not willing to accept the apology, but that is not the right thing to do. We should, if needed, we should apologize, and if others are apologizing, we should accept the apology. Only in that way we will be able to move on in our life. Focus on present, not on the past. So उर्दू में जब हम कहते हैं कि गड़े मुर्दे नहीं उखाड़ने चाहिए, जो the problem at hand, जो भी issue है, जो conflict है, just focus on that. ना कि आप लोगों को ये बताएं कि उन्होंने 2 साल पहले या 5 साल पहले क्या नेगेटिव काम किया था और उसकी बेस पे आप सिचुएशन को मजीद एस्केलेट कर दें, टेंशन को. Don't do that. Just the problem that you are discussing at hand, focus on that problem. जो बातें पास में गुजर गई हैं, just forget about those things. जो भी चीज़ें हैं उनको कोशिश करें कि जब भी कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अराइज होता है, try to resolve that as soon as possible. कुछ लोग इसका एक थंब रूल बताते हैं कि if you have any conflict या you have anything that is pinching you, 48 hours is the deadline. Express your feelings within 48 hours. ये एक रिसर्च की बेस पे कुछ लोग इस नंबर को एडवोकेट करते हैं. well, exact 48 hours नहीं भी हो सकता, लेकिन try to do it or resolve it as quickly as possible. Use humor whenever appropriate. So at times when the situation becomes escalated or tension ज़्यादा है, तो you can use humor appropriately. Like, और humor use करते वक्त आपको एक बात का ख्याल रखना है, never crack jokes on others. अगर आप एक conflict में हैं तो सामने वाले बंदे पे आप कोई joke crack ना कर दें, because that will escalate the situation. And most of the time a helpful situation is to crack a joke on yourself. आप थोड़ा सा अपना मजाक अपने साथ मजाक कर लें, अपना मजाक उड़ा लें. That will lighten the situation. और जो situation tense हो गई है उसको ज़रा ये mild कर देगा. And जब लोगों का मूड थोड़ा खुशगवार हो जाएगा, then there is a better chance that you will be able to resolve the conflict. So आप थोड़ा सा appropriate manner में humor को use करते हैं. Remember the importance of relationship. ये एक बहुत अहम बात है कि आप एक conflict जो आपके सामने है, बाजू का ऐसा होता है कि we feel that whatever conflict we are in, that is the most important thing in our life, and we need to win that battle. लेकिन एक बात अपने जहन में रखें कि आपका जो relationship है, that is more important than the conflict. बाजू का conflict तो बहुत ही minor नौयत के होते हैं. A lot of times the problem is just of ego. जब भी ईगो दरमियान में आने लगे, इस बात को अपने जहन में रखें कि आपका जो रिलेशनशिप है वो आपके लिए बहुत अहम है. और अभी आप लोग दोस्त हैं, these relationships will benefit you a lot. You are people win a lot of projects and earn a lot just through their connection. चाहे वो हमारे करीबी दोस्तों के रिलेशनशिप है, those relationships benefit us throughout our lives. So basically, my is regarding your assignment. I've posted an assignment because different sections have classes at different day of the week. So just to make it uniform, what I've decided is that all of you guys, all the 4 sections will submit the assignment till Friday. Today is Monday. So you guys are supposed to submit your assignment on Friday. And all of you will submit your assignment to your CR. And CR, are you there? CR आप class में हैं?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so जब आप सब लोग आपको assignment जमा कराएंगे and you will make a list of that assignment. एक चीज़ आपने करनी है कि आप जिन लोगों ने भी submit करवाई है आप उनकी list बनाएंगे. जो आपकी क्लास लिस्ट है वो लिस्ट, और जिन लोगों ने सबमिट कराई है उनके आगे आप यस लिखेंगे या 1 लिखेंगे, व्हाटएवर, ताकि मुझे क्लियरली पता लग जाए जिन लोगों ने सबमिट करवाई है और जिन्होंने सबमिट नहीं करवाई, और फिर सारे स्टफ को एक जिप फोल्डर में डाल के आप मुझे भेज देंगे. ओके
Okay, sir.
All right, so let's conclude our meeting here. See you guys next class, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.